Eddie Van Halen is a liar. Now, I'm about to piss a lot of people off with that. I know you're already just jumping into the comments, or you are waiting around to swipe. But hear me out, okay? Before I go into this, you'll realize that it is rather lighthearted, and and maybe you'll understand kind of where I'm coming from with this. So, I am 41 years old, and I grew up loving 70s and 80s rock. It ain't just, oh, I love it, and I just sit at home listening to grunge or rap all day. It's really my life, you know. Like, it bothers me that I'm wearing an AC/DC shirt because I love AC/DC, but I'd much rather be wearing, like, more a Lynch Mob shirt. You know, I hope you understand what I'm saying. When Eddie Van Halen died, I cried more for him than I had Ronnie James Dio, Janie Lane. The list goes on. It literally broke my heart when Eddie Van Halen died. I would hear songs, I would hear lyrics. For some reason, Fair Warning. That's not my favorite Van Halen album, but Fair Warning just, man, I would just cry. Hear about it later. Dirty movies. I would just cry. I'm thankful I got to see him live once with David Lee Roth, and so I love Eddie. Just like many of you that are clicking on this video to watch it, there is a deep love for Eddie Van Halen. And what separated him a lot from a lot of guitar players like Joe Satriani and so forth is Eddie Van Halen was raw. Like when you hear Heartbreaker from Led Zeppelin, you will never hear Joe Satriani or Steve Vai, or there's so many put out a solo like that. I'm not saying Eddie was sloppy at all. There was just an aggression, kind of like Mick Mars. There's this natural feel that only them guys have. But now let's talk about why he's a liar. And let me think about some things off the top of my head that will prove to you that you cannot trust what he has said. So, Mitch Malloy, I think's his name, the blonde guy that says he was in Van Halen for a breakfast. Hey, man, he gets to say it. He was there. There's tapes. He just released a song. You hear Eddie Van Halen's guitar, you know it's Eddie Van Halen. Hey man, he's got a story, and he said that it bothered him that Eddie had never acknowledged it publicly. Then all of a sudden, two things hit me. So Eddie lied about it, or some of you all are going to be like, "Oh, he never talked about it." Whatever. The second thing that you always hear was he wanted to be in Kiss. Gene talks about a dinner with Eddie Van Halen and says no. That's going to be another video, Kiss and Van Halen. But let's just stick to the dinner. So Gene says that Eddie showed up, he wasn't happy with his band, and then you got people that's like, oh, well, he's too talented. Listen, guys, you go learn Deuce and then go learn Running with the Devil. And then, by the way, if you have Kiss Love Gun, a couple of those songs were written with Gene, Alex, and Eddie. Learn it, love it, live it. It's truth. Okay? It would have worked. It's no different than Sammy Hagar joining Van Halen and becoming a ballad band. And their songs were never like Hot for Teacher when Sammy joined. So come on, get real. If you're going to have a bass player like Gene with that band, it would have been fine. But with that said, Eddie has always said that has never happened. I don't think Gene... Why would Gene benefit from lying about that? Do you guys realize all the guitar players that have auditioned for Kiss? Everywhere from J.J. French to Richie Sambora has auditioned for Kiss. Even Adam Baum has an amazing story about how he auditioned and how the first thing that blew him away was Gene's tone, his approach, and he has never played with a bass player like that. but he was too short. But anyway, so I feel like that is lie number 2. But the lie that Eddie told, that you're all going to laugh because you're going to be like, how's he know about this? But the lie that he told that is absolute a lie. And what I'm getting at is I'm not crapping on Eddie. I'm just telling you his personality with reporters and the public. He was very different. So they asked him about his guitar tone, and he literally gave an example to what he does to get that tone with his amp. And kids all over and adults all over were going home and pulling out the magazine or the interview and doing exactly what he said that he does. And guess what? People were blowing their amp up. Their amps were fried, blowing up all over the place. This is truth. This is a fact. And if you say it isn't, then you do not know nothing about Van Halen. But those 3 things right there kind of let you in on a little bit of the personality with Eddie. I've always felt that the issue with Van Halen was that the brothers came from nothing to something, and there's just you change when you become powerful, and we all would. 90% of us would be a different person if we had that much power, and it's hard to be cool and have that much power. So people talk about Dave because he's so flamboyant, but people don't realize that Eddie and Alex kind of have. But hey, man, we love them, and I want to thank Van Halen for, man, all the. You know what I'm trying to say. But anyway, Eddie Van Halen is a liar in a good way. And then you really got to look into his interviews and take a lot of it with a grain of salt. And at the end of the day, we will never know. We will never know. Just like Van Halen breaking up. So let me jump into that real quick. So they had a contract agreement that they could not go into the studio and play with anybody else. Eddie broke that because he did not know that solo on Beat It would be as big as it was. And everybody knew it was Eddie, by the way. So when David Lee Roth heard about it, and he's like, oh, so y'all want to take breaks because you just got married or whatever. Well, I'm not ready to take a break. I'm still wanting to go rock and roll. And then Eddie got pissed because David went and got another band. And that, am I a liar? But that's what broke up Van Halen.